Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Cheese Room podcast. I'm the caller, live from a dimly lit man cave. It's been very, very hot outside and bright. I feel a bit like scorchioed myself. So welcome to you wherever you're watching from in the world. It's a pleasure, as always, to have you here watching us at the Cheese Room. Please do smash the like button and hit that subscribe if it's the first time joining us as well. Let us know you're here in the chat, and don't be shy with the super chats. Let's go around the room tonight. So first we've got JP, well wrapped up warm for someone who lives in Australia. JP,
it is bloody freezing over here. I can't really compute with your 32 degrees. You're moaning a lot. I'm hearing a lot of whinging coming over from the other side of the ocean, but no, it's cold over here at the moment. I'm wrapped up, but waking up to excellent news, so warms the cockles of my spirits.
Well, I mean, I'm just surprised that it's that cold in Australia, to be honest. I just picture it as this warm tropical paradise, as everyone who lives there tells it is normally. But we've got another Aussie on the show tonight, making his Cheese Room debut. Cameron, thanks for joining us. Normally you're in that chat window over there, so a pleasure to have you on the show. Also from Australia, so g'day.
G'day and good morning. The mask is off. I am no longer doing the comments. I'm actually talking. So, yes, from a chilly Melbourne. Everybody thinks it's warm here, but yes, as same as James, waking up to great news around Bissouma. So stoked, very stoked.
Stoked, mate. I love it. And from the Emerald Isle, I was just with him over on Matt Hayes' channel. It is, of course, the Irish Hotspur. How are you, sir?
No, just like you, caller, soaking in the sun today, making these boys jealous over here, just relaxing, taking in the good weather. But no, I'm all good. We had a very good show on Matty Hayes, so hopefully we can continue over here, my man.
Now, let us know this in the chat. We're having a little bit of a chat in the pre-show about Australia. Dave, tell us why you would not go to Australia.
Yeah, look, I don't want to go to Australia just because, like you kind of said as well, it's the land where everything can kill you. The snakes, the spiders. The boys were saying that they found poisonous spiders in the house. I mean, that's when you're awake. But imagine what happens when you're asleep, And look, I couldn't put my life in danger like that with the snakes, the spiders. It's just not for me. I do like Australia, but I'll never go.
Mate. JP, what spiders have you found in your house, or you, Cameron, either or?
I don't. It's not you're probably going to freak out, but it's not that big a deal, and it's pretty common. I've had redbacks, white tips, black snakes, brown snakes.
What? In your house?
Well, in the yard, I've had them. In the house, we've had the spiders. Yeah, it's not uncommon to.
Yeah, I'd have redbacks, white tails, or white tips. My old man's seen a few funnel webs. Those things, if they bite you, will probably kill you. He's seen a few pythons up in the Central Coast there, a few red bellies, browns.
Hang on. I get called if there's a house spider. I have my little spider catcher kit, this cup and a like a beer mat to get rid of them because the missus just freaks out. How do you where do you even start with a redback?
Just a can of Mortine. Just unload on it.
What's that?
Just spider spray.
Kill it. Spider spray. Oh, so you kill it?
Yeah, just kill it. And then
you get a container and a piece of paper and you put it underneath and then release it outside back into the wild.
All right. So that's a spider. What about a snake?
Shovel over the head.
Yeah.
What, you killed the snake?
Well, not so much recently. I think there's some RSPCA that might get involved, but we'll just call pest control and they'll come and take it away.
Yeah, I've seen quite a few dead browns with their heads off in bins and so forth. It's a right of way in the middle of summer, especially in hiking. You see the odd snake. So, yeah.
The one you really got to watch out for is drop bears.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
Drop bears.
What are they?
When you're out camping, there's a bear up in the tree and they can drop on top of your tent and just squash the tent.
I'll stick to the Lake District, thanks. You're all right. There's nothing there that's going to kill me. You know,
Could you imagine having to walk around your house and just simple things like going to make a cup of coffee, opening the press or the jar, and having to watch out for like spiders and snakes and everything? I couldn't live my life like that. I'd be in a padded cell.
I'd argue where you're really living if you don't live your life like that.
I mean, that is such an Australian thing to say. That is such an Australian thing to say.
You get used to it.
No,
Like
I'm
people
living
get scared of adders over there, and I was like, "What?" I put up with tigers and browns.
I've got to be honest. If I saw an adder, I'd freak out. I wouldn't know what to do. I really wouldn't. I mean,
The only thing I have to watch out for is sheep. I mean, I'm quite happy with my life.
do you know how many people are killed by cows a year? Quite a few. It's the
Probably
thing.
more than spiders, to be honest.
Yeah, probably.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Let us know in the chat. Look, the whole show's not going to be like this, but I just thought this conversation's got to happen. It's got to happen. Let us know in the chat what's the scariest thing. What's the scariest insect or animal that you've had a close encounter with in your home? In your home. Your missus doesn't count. Right, let's move on and let's talk some football. So, Bissouma is finally a Spurs player. We think it's, 25 in the region of 25 million English pounds, 4-year contract. Irish Hotspur, I'm coming to you first, mate. Tell us what you think about this transfer.
No, I'm absolutely buzzing with Bissouma, to be honest with you. Look, he offers us something that we don't have in that midfield, which is ball carrying ability. Someone that can pick up the ball deep and run with it, just like a bit like Moussa Dembele you used to bring to Tottenham. He gives us a different option in the midfield as well. You look at Højbjerg, Bentancur, Skipp. They all provide something. But what Bissouma has that's maybe different is, again, like Moussa Dembele, can just control the whole game. Control the midfield, come out and absolutely dominate in that area. But he also has a lot of pace, a lot of athleticism. He'll be able to cover ground very, very quickly. Now, for me, look, he doesn't solve all our problems. We still need someone that can add goals from that midfield. But he certainly helps us with a different option to be able to change games, whether it's from the bench, starting. You know, it means Conte can now, if he wants to, he can play the 3 in midfield and still have another option on the bench. He can stick with the 2 in midfield. Going into cup games, I mean, you're putting in 2 centre midfielders that actually give a crap about playing for the club. Unlike, Ronald McDombele, Lord of French Fries, the shit show, Harry Winks. At least now we're putting out players out there that want to be there. I think the youngsters that get the opportunity in the early cup rounds of the cups will absolutely benefit from having steady professionals in there that actually want to be there and play. Like, for instance, Mbappe and Gail Messi didn't really stand a chance last season when given their opportunities in the Europa Conference League games, because a lot of the players they were playing with didn't want to be there, especially that midfield. And we've seen how important having a good midfield is at Tottenham. When we signed Bentancur, he completely changed the style of play. When we were playing with Harry Winks, we just could not pass out from the back. We were ending up resorting to hitting long balls up to Sonny. You're not giving Sonny a fair chance. You're hitting long balls up to Harry Kane. But half of them weren't even in their direction, so they couldn't even compete for it. But Bentancur come in, gets on the ball, he's brave, and he first thing to do is turn. Can he get it out left? Can he get out right? Most importantly, can I get it to Harry Kane? He finds a way of doing it, but he also offers himself up so much more for the ball than what Harry Winks was doing. Harry Winks at times, and look, I used to say this a lot, but Jamie Carragher really kind of hammered home my point when he done the exposé on him. Yes, he runs looking for the ball. He doesn't actually want it. He does not want it. He's hiding. That's why you're seeing Harry Winks walk right up to a player to take the ball just to give it back to him. He's a stat padder. Bissouma is not that. Bissouma will give us loads of options, a new dynamic in that midfield that teams will have to try and work around. For me, I think it's an absolute steal as well. A lot of people rave about this guy, Spurs legend Chris Hughton. He brought him to Brighton. Harry Redknapp, also another Spurs legend who got us to the Champions League in the first place. He said he'd pay 70 million for the guy. Arsenal were looking at this guy. Liverpool and City at some stage were looking for this guy. A lot of clubs were trying to get him out of Brighton in January, but Tottenham went and done the business. For me, I love the way we approach the market. It's been aggressive so far, and I think Bissouma is an absolutely quality player. But most of all, to end off my point, Premier League proven. You're not bringing in a midfielder. Look, we got very lucky that Bentancur took to the Premier League as quick as he did. We've seen before that that's not always the case. Ndombele, Lo Celso, etc. With how quickly Conte's not here to consolidate top 4 every season. He wants to win trophies. He already has the better of Pep Guardiola last season, has Klopp's number. All we have to do is get that Chelsea hoodoo out the way and sorted. Someone like Bissouma will help us in that department. That if he can't pass around him, he can just beat 2-3 players, take them out of the game. Again, he can do that against low block teams where we were looking to pass it side to side all the time. That's what they want when they sit low block. They set up, block the middle up, watch you pass it left and right, and all they have to do is shift side to side. That's what they want. What they don't want is someone like Bissouma who will take on the ball, take 2-3 players out of the game, and create spaces, create a bit of havoc. So for me, I think brilliant signing, but you're not looking at a player that's coming in here. Maybe he has to adapt his game because he physically can't handle it, or he's trying to get up to speed, the demands, the physicality of the Premier League. He's already been here for the last 3-4 years. He knows what it is. So you put him out there, you know exactly what you're going to get straight away from minute 1. I love the signing.
Cameron, in 1,000 words or less, are you equally as enthused? How much do you know about Bissouma? You watched him play much?
Yeah, well, look, I watched him I think it was the FA Cup game against us where I think we won 3-1. Did watch a bit of footage of him this week. On top of what the Irish Hotspur is saying, he adds presence to that midfield. So basically, particularly the Chelsea games where they, as a pack of dogs, they absolutely ruined Winks. I think this time around he adds presence and drive moving forward and the energy. We're not a bagel FC, as one of the other Tottenham people call them. We've got presence there. We've actually got a competent, functional midfielder there now. I've seen his stats. It looks like on tackles and interceptions he's very good at, which is well on top of the other comparative Tottenham midfielders. But I'm happy we've actually got presence in the midfield now that him and Bentancur could hopefully create a functional relationship there. So is that under 1,000 words?
No, it's fine. I was only playing. JP, Bissouma for you, is that, Kerry's put in there, is that the statement signing that we're looking for? I mean, he's a fantastic player. 25 million, probably presumably because he's at the end of his contract. He's got 1 season left. What's he worth, do you reckon, in the market?
I think in this market, he's probably a £40 million player. If he's got 3 or 4 years, like the day he puts on a Tottenham shirt today, he's worth about 40 million. I think it's a great signing. I think it's a statement signing, but not from the perspective that we're probably looking at it. I actually think he's very similar. He's better, but very similar to what we get out of Højbjerg and Bentancur at the moment in terms of kind of defensive pressure. He gives us progressive carries. If you look at his XG and his progressive carries per 90, Højbjerg is actually statistically much better
than you think. Better than you think, right?
Better than you think. But the eye test plays a lot, right? And where are those progressive carries coming from? Højbjerg does a lot of it when he's got open space in front of him. Bissouma's got a bit of the Dembele about him. He'll take a player on, he'll hold you off, he'll give you progression. I think he's going to unlock a lot for Bentancur if we're playing in a 2, where Bentancur can be a little bit more progressive, like what Højbjerg was doing before. Or if you play a 3, he can play that base role. Bentancur can get out wide and do a little bit more kind of grunt and grind. Why I think it's a statement signing is not so much because I think Bissouma himself is, the midfielder that fixes it for Tottenham. But I think we've gone out and spent 25 million on a midfielder who we arguably didn't have to sign. And there's still a midfielder that we need to sign that's going to give us that creativity. I think that just says we mean business. We're not just going after the 4 players that you all said we had to sign. There's probably 6 on our list that we need to get in that are going to give us real depth. I now look at it and go, if we were playing 2 in the middle, Skipp, Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Bissouma, I don't care who starts. Like, give me any of them. I really don't care who starts in that midfield. It's brilliant.
I was going to ask. Let's go to you, Irish Hotspur. First game of the season, we don't sign. Imagine we don't sign any more midfielders. Who lines up in that midfield?
Do you know what? I think first game of the season, I still think you'll see Højbjerg and Bentancur, in my opinion. maybe with Bissouma off the bench, but maybe he could look at go 3 with midfield, looking at the Chelsea game the following week. Look, I'm going to go brave, the caller. I'm going to go with all 3 of them in midfield, Højbjerg, Bentancur, and Bissouma, especially because Southampton gave us real problems with their midfield when we played them, when they bet us that time. So I wouldn't be surprised to see us go with the 3 with also 1 look at Chelsea. So I would go with Højbjerg. Look, a lot of people maybe are writing off Højbjerg. I wouldn't write him off, and the reason why is under Jose Mourinho, he completed 38 games across the whole season at the Premier League. Played all 38 games, made the most appearances out of any player that season, played the most minutes. This season, again, he completed 36 out of 38 Premier League games and only hauled off early twice in them, whereas under Jose Mourinho, he played all the 90 minutes. He was rolled out 50 times this season, I think 58 times last season, and he's had the Euros in the middle. The guy has not played a break. He's virtually played every game for club and country over the last 2 years. Every manager, it comes back to my point, every manager he plays under, trust this guy and rolls him out every single week, every single game for a reason. Even when we tried to give him a rest in the Europa Conference League, when we were over in France that time, we ended up having to bring him on at half-time, because he's just solid. He's reliable. You look at the passing stats, a lot of people's problems with Højbjerg was actually his passing. But outside of Man City and Liverpool, who naturally their midfielders will have a lot of possession and a lot more passing numbers because of the way they play, and they have a lot more of the ball. But Højbjerg's ninth, behind a lot of teams that carry a lot more possession than us. So he's not actually that bad in terms of possession. He works hard. He's the first in the training ground along with Eric Dyer every single morning and the last one to leave. He is the pillar of Mr. Reliable, and he's also in the leadership group at Tottenham as well. So he's a very valuable member of this squad.
I don't disagree with you. The only thing I'd say is look through that squad, and were you ever not going to play Højbjerg? Like, we had, for most parts of last year and the year before that, 2 functional midfielders. So he has to play, rotating between Skipp and Bentancur when he came in.
Go.
The reality is now is we don't have to play him. We had to play him in the past. We now don't have to play him. So it's. I honestly, I'm with you. I think it's a flip of a coin. If he starts or Bissouma starts or Bentancur starts, I can see a world where Conte's actually thinking Bissouma and Højbjerg.
Well, I don't know if Skipp's full training again either, but it's like they might start that the first game, but the calendar looks insane running in for the next few months, coming into Champions League and then into the World Cup. So it's not that they might have the first game. There's a lot of games to come. So midfield rotation is going to be key amongst all these players because everybody's going to get a lick of the ice cream, as we say down here.
Well, we shall see. It'll be interesting. I mean, where does it leave Ollie Skipp? I love Skipp. I really do. I think he's as anyone who watches the channel knows, I've backed him for a very long time. I think he's a really good midfielder. I think he's got so much potential. I think he'll be England material before long. I'm just disappointed. Obviously, he got that injury when he did because that's really knackered his momentum. But where does that now leave Ollie Skipp, Cameron? What do you think? And then JP and Irish, just feel free to chip in.
Oh, look, he's coming off the bench. I don't know currently where he's at with training, so I think he's a squad player for the time being because he's obviously been injured for a long period of time. Skipp, Bentancur, just seen that, but yeah, I think you want to reintegrate him slowly. He's going to be a future captain of the club, hopefully. So. Yeah, nursing back in. All last season, we were getting announcements from the club going, he's coming back next month. He was coming back soon, and then suddenly he's out for the season. So I don't know where things are at with him, but I think it's a stage of nursing him and integrating him back in slowly.
I think Skippy was probably ahead of schedule last season as well, and just due to he outperformed where we expect him to be, and we were in such a bad state in the midfield. So I think it's a case of bringing him back on schedule now, and he's probably a 20, 25 game a season player for us, and it'll mix probably mostly Premier League games. It might be wrong, Conte loves him, but I think we'll go an older midfield in the Champions League games, but he'll play
Is he
all the
training
cup games.
again?
He'll get 10 Premier League games a season as well. And I think he'll eventually replace Højbjerg in that midfield, but it might be another season.
Is he back in training again?
Well, priests were in, all the players are on holiday, so not right now, but I think he's supposed to be back first day of pre-season.
No.
Look, for me, I think Ollie Skipp is kind of, look, let's be honest. Look, as much as I love him just as much as the next person. But realistically, if we had the caliber of midfielders that we should have had at this club, and Ndombele did pull his weight, Ali was pulling his weight, Lo Celso was pulling his weight, the guy would be nowhere near the squad. He got an opportunity purely because the amount of dead weight we were carrying in that position, and his attitude was better, and he's willing to put in the work rate, which others weren't willing to do. I think Skipp will be a fantastic player. I really like what he's about. I think he's got a good mentality. He works incredibly hard, and he absolutely loves this club. And I agree with Cameron when he was saying, potentially a future captain of this football club. But I also agree with JP that he's probably back more on schedule now, where he actually has to compete for his place, because he was walking into the team. Harry Winks was no competition to this guy. He walked straight into the team beside Højbjerg. That does not happen at any top club that have ambitions or aims to win titles. So now that we've upgraded our midfield by bringing in a Bentancur, by bringing in a Bissouma, what I would do is I would keep Skipp, because for me, look, he's gone past the sort of development stage where you're sending him out on loan to learn the game. He knows the game. He's a good player. But for me now, he's where he should be. He's on course, challenging for a spot in that midfield. I really like him. I think he's on course. I think I'd be very surprised if we loan him out. I think we need to keep him. Conte has plans to go deep in the League Cup, FA Cup, Premier League, and hopefully Champions League, challenging on all four fronts from the start of the season. I think we definitely need to keep him. We can't go into the season with just having three choices and playing a two-man midfield. You need four, probably five. But Skipp is where he should be right now, which is challenging for that first team spot.
I think that the most exciting thing about that as well, sorry, just to go on it, when we say Skipp, back on schedule, blah, 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 it's no slide on him at all. And I think this is the best thing that says it is if we assume that Bissouma and Bentancur are the ones that probably the fans would say are our starting two. If you said that Skipp and Bentancur were starting a game, do you have any concerns?
No.
No, not at all. And I think that's the perfect place to be in as a young player, to go, I have full trust from the manager to come in and do a job. I'm not that far behind, but I'm on schedule. But I think he'll see his pathway.
He's also going to benefit from having good, solid professionals around him. Bentancur, who, by the way, he's won things. He's won Serie A. He's won the Cup. He's won stuff in Argentina. He's won stuff at under 20 level for Argentina. He's a born winner. He knows what it takes to get over the line. Skipp can learn off him. Good, solid professional. Like Højbjerg. Look, the guy, I know some people think he has his faults, but he can't be that bad if he came through the Bayern Munich academy, can he? Yeah. Left Bayern Munich to go to Southampton first team football. We picked him up and he's continued on. He's been a solid performer. Again, a good, solid professional who, like I said, first in, last out, sets good standards around the club. Skipp will benefit more from having them around and competing and learning off these guys than what he would have playing every week, just purely because Ndombele and Lo Celso's form were atrocious. They didn't want to be here, and he's just being rolled out there. He can learn a lot now with the players he has in and around him, which will ultimately develop him to be a much better player in the future. Because he's showing the right teams day in, day out, rather than what he was seeing with Ronald McDonald, Lord of the French fries.
I think the competition's a big one for me because I follow AFL down here. So basically, long story short, the competition for him and even Bentancur winning all these titles and awards at Juve, I think if you can rub that mentality onto Skipp and others, it's only a benefit for not just him, but the other boys around the club as well. Obviously, we're a club that doesn't have too many trophies at present time or in recent times, but I think that if they can build up a definite competition amongst them, Conte will love that. He works off culture and system amongst other things. And I've loved Bentancur last season. His industry. I think Skipp's going to benefit from this. So there's good things happening in the midfield happening there at Spurs now, where we really didn't have a presence there last season. So big ups.
It's great. It's absolutely great to have options, isn't it? That's the thing. We haven't had options for so long, really. Beyond, I mean, when I see Harry Winks named on the bench, I sort of like almost cry a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
But we're at the end of that, aren't we? Surely someone's gonna who's gonna leave that midfield posse? Would you say, JP? Do you think Winks first out the door probably because he's English, saleable, got a value?
I don't know whether he'd be first out the door, him or Lo Celso, but yeah, I think he's probably him and Lo Celso are our most saleable assets that we've got at the moment. There's bizarrely many clubs interested in Harry Winks. I'm seeing that.
Well, they saw him volley that teabag into a teacup and thought
he must be good. Get him, yeah.
Christ, the skills that guy's got.
Yeah, you put him in a house in Australia, he sees a spider and he'll run away from it. So just wait until they see his underbelly.
Spiders, I tell you, don't even start me. I'd suddenly turn into Usain Bolt, like in terms of speed, if I saw one of those redbacks in here. Oh.
I'm sure, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll come on to it later as well, but I think Lo Celso is getting plenty of interest. I will have no interest in issues getting rid of him or Winks, I don't think. And Ndombele is going to be the one that...
HG's in the chat. Winks to Everton. HG, I hope you've hit the like button. 186 people in the room. Please do smash that like and subscribe button. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of thoughts in the chat about Winks.
HG, if Lampard takes Winks off of your hands, will you then cede a little bit of love to Lampard because he's doing good things for you?
He'll never see good in Lampard.
Yeah.
Never. Just while we've got you, Irish Hotspur, obviously a good friend of the channel, and it's great to have you back on. We've not had you back on for a little while. In the meantime, we've signed Perisic and Forster. I'd be interested to get your views on both of those characters.
Look, first of all, we'll start with Perisic. I mean, look, it's a Conte signing. Everyone over the summer was saying, back Conte, give him what he wants. That's his signing. For me, he's two-footed. You know, you've seen at times with Sessegnon, especially towards the end of the season, players were showing him back onto his right foot. No, he can't cross the ball with his right foot. We've seen that. He cannot do it with his right foot. He's very one-footed. Whereas Perisic, he can go outside, he can cut inside. He could put lovely balls into the box. I think Son, Kane, Kulusevski coming in at the back post will benefit from that. You'll see a lot more, hopefully being able to retain possession in the final third and not always have to rely on quick counterattacks because you have someone who's quality on the ball and can look after it. He could beat his man, but he also scores, surprisingly, a lot of goals with his head. He is a bit of a threat from corner kicks. So, you know, that's another plus because we don't really capitalize enough from set pieces, in my opinion, from free kicks or corners. And he's a guy that can score goals. He cuts inside on his right, he'll have a shot. If you give him the opportunity on his left, he'll have a shot. Now, we've seen the amount of positions Reguilon got into, and they had very, very good positions last season. Just didn't have the end product. You give them positions to Perisic, that ball is in the back of the net. And that's the real difference here. So I'm really happy with that sign. Again, I'm also happy with the age because, again, how many players that are around Tottenham now with the way Conte has it, that everyone is here, you know, everyone that wants to be here. He's a good egg. People can learn off him. But again, he's a proven winner. He's won stuff in Germany. He's won stuff in Italy. You know, he's got to a World Cup final with Croatia. He's a big-time player. If we do get to cup finals or we do have these big Champions League nights, or potentially what I'm aiming for is maybe hopefully a run at the league, he can help even Kane, Son, Lloris, who may have nerves, how to actually prepare, deal with the big occasion, deal with your nerves. We might actually help them and hopefully help us get us over the line. So that's Perisic, I think, a brilliant signing. Fraser Forster, again, I think is a very good signing. Look, I know a lot of people... Look, Galini is not good enough to replace Hugo Lloris, but we have to understand the reason why he was brought in here is because you did not know what Hugo Lloris's future held, which meant if he did take the option to leave the club, he could sign for teams on a pre-contract in January. We would have been left exposed that this summer we would have been forking out millions, and you're talking paying over the odds for a goalkeeper because everyone would have known we needed one. So bringing in Galini on the sort of deal he did and not actually purchasing him, bringing him on the loan and putting in the clauses, you could see why he done that. so that if Hugo Lloris did leave, he wouldn't be extorted. So smart piece of business. He's now gone. But with Fraser Forster, a player who's had European experience with Celtic, so he's played in the Champions League and that. So I think he's already he's won a couple of leagues with Celtic as well. But he's also been steady for Southampton when I've watched him. I really like Fraser Forster. He's a player that you can bring in these cup games that you can rely on. Look, with Galini, Joe Hart, a couple of years before that, they're being done from 30, 40 yards and not even great shots. That's just a lack of concentration. You should not be beaten regularly the way they are. Galini made a big mistake against Chelsea coming out for a corner kick. Fraser Forster, 6'7", he'll just take that ball. So it'll eliminate some of them mistakes as well. And again, a nice, solid old head. And hopefully this young Irish guy that's coming in, Keeley, hopefully now he can learn off Hugo Lloris and Fraser Forster. Good professionals, solid professionals that, again, the young keepers at the club can learn off and work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Massive shout out and thank you very much, Super Chat. Crankshaw 91. Now with these 4 players in midfield, is this the most effective midfield in the league for the money, value for money? Less than 80 mil for all 4. Let's just pass that around. JP, you kick off.
Hang on, I'm doing some math. 25 for Bissouma. What was it, like 18 for Bentancur? So we're up to what? Just shy of 45. That's what, 43. And then what do we pay for Højbjerg? 15?
Yeah, I think it was about 15.
It's less than
15,
60.
20.
It's less than 60 mil for all 4. I mean, whatever you put into Skipp being in the academy. I mean, most effective, let's wait and see till they're on the pitch. They have to work together. In theory, it works. It's still missing creativity, like serious creativity. If we got teams running a low block, as much as Bissouma's great for, dribbling and progressing the ball forward, his final third output's not great. So I wouldn't say most effective. We definitely need to improve that. We get Eriksen on a free. This might be the super chat of the century. Because all of a sudden, 60 mil. Yeah, you've got one of the best midfields in the world.
The super chat of the century. Cameron, agree with that?
Yeah, so I completely agree with James. I think it's the creativity and the keys to unlock the low block, which James took the words out of my mouth. I think I really have a good feeling about Eriksen. He's obviously said he wants to stay in London, which is a good thing. And he's probably aroused by Champions League. So, yeah, you add him into the mix. Yeah, I do think we then have the keys to unlock low blocks where we tend to struggle at times in the low block. In broken play, great. But I think with Eriksen there, bring back the old cast, bring Delhi back, because he loved it when Eriksen was dipping the balls into him. So
not Delhi.
I'm joking.
Not Delhi.
But yeah, Eriksen's what we need. I think it just needs that little bit of flair there. There's a lot of industry there. And Bissouma, I've seen Bissouma thread a nice pass, but yeah, statistically, I think we're very good. We're very good, but I think it's the creative unlocking of defenses we need. So yeah, Eriksen all the way, please. But HG, he's not going to Man United, is he?
Dave, just on the super chat, you agree with that?
Outside of maybe Man City, I do think we're probably looking at. I think we probably have a better midfield than Liverpool now, in my opinion. Chelsea, I think. Chelsea ones will be hard to compare to as well. Look, if I'm being honest, I would say I would go with third, maybe fourth. Yeah, you bring in Christian Eriksen, you change the dynamic in the midfield, and you have someone that does have that creative passive that can actually play between their back line and their midfield, which, we do not have that sort of option. Someone that can get on the ball in their position, spin, and make things happen, play people through. You bring that in, then I would put us above the likes of a Chelsea for sure. I'd probably put us above or up in par. Well, look, Man City have De Bruyne and Foden, to be fair. But, I would definitely say we would definitely have the second best if you give me that extra option, that goals, the extra creativity from midfield. You have a bit of everything in that midfield then. I would go... Right now, I would say, third or fourth, but if we got in Eriksen, I'd bump us up second.
I'd agree there. Plus, I thought Liverpool were going to put a bid in for Bissouma as well. It's not like they're young, that midfield. They're quite geriatric for a Premier League age. And I thought, Liverpool could actually gazump us here, because if you have a look through their midfield core, it's like Bissouma would be a great fit for them as well. But, got there first to the post and obviously got his signing. So his age is a bonus for me. I thought Liverpool would have gazumped us, and I spoke to HG on messaging during the week going, wait until we've actually signed him. And it's true, because that Willian transfer where Chelsea came in right at the death still scars me to today.
Yeah. But that's why we have Tottenham Hotspur away now. Instead of having to put them up in a hotel and have them risk of leaving, we put them up in our own hotel, and we have tabs on them. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah, they're all tagged.
We've just got them running consistently on the underwater treadmill. No, you can't get out. You can't get out. Sign the contract. We'll turn it off.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Let's switch gears and talk about someone else. So I want to talk about this man, because if ever there was a man to divide opinion, we've been linked with Mr. Richarlison quite heavily. Lots of hints. He's appeared in a San Antonio Spurs shirt. I mean, I'm interested to get you guys' take on Richarlison. Let's kick off with you, JP. What's your view on him? Would you be happy with this one for the money that's being mooted?
If I exclude the money that is being mooted, and we say we sign Richarlison, and go, yeah, good backup option. But for the money that's being mooted, and that he has to, for that kind of money, you got to solve a lot of problems. It needs to be a problem area that improves the first team. I don't know that Richarlison gets in ahead of Decky. He's got to probably be homegrown if he's not going to be a starter, and he's not. So I look at it and I go, for a backup player who's going to play 15, 20 games off the right, maybe support down the middle another 5 games, do we need to go and sign someone from Everton? Probably not. I just feel like there'd be better options out there. But if we signed him and I take the money out of the question, I go, if he improves our squad, he gives us a real option. He can play down the middle, and he can play off the right, he can play off the left. He'll probably take 5 games a season off Son, 10 games a season off Decky, another 5 off Harry, hopefully. Yeah, it's a good option to have. I think there's a drop if you take Harry out and you put Richarlison up top, but that's going to be with anyone. So it's a good option to have, but not for 60, 70 million or whatever they're saying. If you can get him for 45, stretch to 50 maybe.
Irish Hotspur, come on, give me a view on Richarlison. I know you've definitely got a strong one.
Do you know what? I actually really like the guy. I think he'll be a brilliant piece of business. Look, one thing again, he's Premier League proven. There's no adaptation period. Someone like Lautaro Martinez, I know Conte's worked with him before, but he might come in, struggle physically, and have to try and adapt to his game. Might not work out. Huge outlay. Now, I know this is a huge outlay on Richarlison, but it wouldn't surprise me that we're putting that out there in the press about Lautaro Martinez to try and knock some off this Richarlison deal. It's like, okay, everything, you don't want our money, we'll go and look elsewhere. And then they come back pleading, please give us your money. So hopefully that would be the ideal situation. Again, he's another one that bags double figures in the Premier League. I think 3 out of his 4 seasons. He's done it at Watford. He's done it at Everton. He knows where the goal is. So if Harry Kane is out, you have someone like Richarlison who knows how to find the net in the Premier League, rather than relying on what we've seen over the last few years. Last season, a youngster who I was happy he got the minutes then the season before. Someone like Vinicius, who, okay, maybe he's done well in the Dutch league this season, but over the course of his career, he's been a complete journeyman. Before that, you're talking about Llorente, who was, okay, and not decent, but he was over the hill. Richarlison is going into his prime. He's 25. He's also a Brazil full international. But what I love most about him, he can give Kane cover, he can give Son cover. So you can play him in them cup games. You know that you still pose a threat. You're not hoping to give that day Mbappe would do something magical and come out and score 2-3 goals. You know someone that knows where the net is already. He'll get you through them rounds safely. He's an option that Conte can look at on the bench and say he knows how to change the game. But with also giving Kane and Son a rest at times, even just bringing them off a bit early when the game is done, he still carries a threat. He'll be hungry because he'll want goals and to perform to hopefully get into the team. But you'll also see Kane and Son benefit from them, and you'll probably see even more numbers because they're coming into a lot more games even fresher. And for me, I think Richarlison would be a good signing. But what I love most about this guy, and I know a lot of people look at it and call it petulance. For me, I actually just think he's a born winner. He hates losing. He's angry all the time, but he works incredibly hard. Now, if you get someone like Conte, who can channel that in the right way on the football pitch, you're going to get an explosive player that has them magic moments in him. Someone that will work hard, that will chase the whole back line down. Wayne Rooney used to do it. Tevez used to do it. Suarez used to do it. You will get someone in that mold if you can channel his anger in the right way. I'll be very happy with this. Look, 60 million, if we have to spend it, go and spend it. I don't care. Go and spend it. You know, again, he's not a player that you're waiting, will he hit the ground, won't he? He's going to score your goals. It's guaranteed. Pay the money, and it just shows how much of a good position we're in if we can spend that sort of money and are not even guaranteed a starting spot in the first team. That's what City do. That's what Liverpool do. They can afford to spend that money and get people to come in to compete. If we're already getting to that level under such short space of time under Paratici, well, the future looks good, lads.
Yeah, absolutely. Another super chat from Crankshaft. Thank you so much for your support. I love the show on the Irish Hotspur. Do you think that if Eriksen have played for us and came from Inter, like Perisic, Ivan the Amazing, that we'd be so split on our opinion? That's a really good question, actually. Let's pass it round. JP?
Probably not. No, I think... no, probably not. I think the only reason why people are... The only reason anyone would say don't go back for Eriksen is because you never go back to an ex. And that's really the only thing holding people off. He's still class. He can still do it. Yeah, you're bad 18 months with us towards the end, but the whole squad did. So, you're probably correct. It's a good call.
Cameron?
Do you think... I'd agree with James there. He's pretty much taken the words from my mouth there.
No props. Irish Hotspur?
Look, for me, I'll be honest, you would have asked me maybe a year or when Eriksen was looking for a club over the summer, or I was dead against it. I didn't want the guy. But because we've got Bissouma and Eriksen won't be our main signing, I'm happy with the guy to come in. But I do think if Eriksen never played for us and he came from Inter, like Ivan Perisic, then will we be split on our opinion? Probably not, probably not. But the fact that he has that history, look, we have to remember when he left. And what pissed me off, look, he didn't really down tools, but his heart wasn't in it. He couldn't be the first man from a corner. Free kicks were atrocious. He was just kind of being out there for the sake of being out there. He knew his move was coming. So that's I
think he was trying not to get injured. I think that's what it was. He's
100%.
trying to get injured.
100%. And that's what splits people's opinion, because us as fans, we expect a player every single game to give us their 100%. That's the minimum we expect as a fan. Yeah. But like you said, Carter, when someone like Christian Eriksen, who knows he's going, his contract was running down anyway, he knows he's going, but he's not going to injure himself because he wants to be able to maximize the money that he can get when he leaves. You're 100% right. He was protecting himself. I don't like that personally as a fan, but the fact that he's not going to be our main signing, he's not going to be playing week in, week out either, I'm all for it. We do need that attacking option, even to come off the bench, like we've seen against Brighton and Brentford when we had no answers. Someone that can get themselves into the middle, into the danger lines and play. So I'm for it now. I'm for it.
It's good. And thanks again for the super chat. 263 people watching, only 70 likes. That's shocking. Unbelievable. So please do hit that like button. Nearly 200 of you haven't hit the like button. That's incredible. Please, it costs you nothing. It means the world to us. Takes a second of your time.
Caller, if we get 200 likes, will you eat a spider?
Absolutely not.
200 likes. 200. Come on.
If we get 200 likes, will you eat?
What would you do for 200 likes?
Well, yeah.
I definitely wouldn't eat a spider. I can assure you of that. Definitely not. It's a family show. Let's talk Jed Spence. So a lot of talk about he's the next signing through the door. I know we were having a little bit of back and forth on Matt Hayes' channel, so let's go to these two gents first, and then we'll come back to me and you, Irish Hotspur, if that's okay. Yeah. JP, Jed Spence, what do you reckon? Good.
Do I think we'll get it?
Different?
I'm all for us signing Jed Spence, but I think it's the same with what we've got on the left, right? So I think we all kind of assume that we're trying to move on Reggie, and our wing backs will be Perisic starting, with Sessegnon being the young kid who's going to come in and hopefully overtake him by the end of the season or next season. I think we're looking at the right-hand side, and ideally you'd be bringing in Spence on the same premise that there's a seasoned pro ahead of him who he's going to overtake by the end of the season, next season. That should be the plan. The problem is when we all started waxing lyrical about our good mate, I'm going blank here. Who's our fabulous right wing back?
Emerson.
Doherty. There we go. Sorry, not Emerson. When we all started waxing lyrical about Doherty in the back half of last year, it was, Doherty could be a really good backup option for us. And so I don't think we've improved that starting right wing back. Now, Jed Spence could come in and prove me completely wrong, and he's up to the standard and he's ready to go. But I would have liked to have seen someone else coming into that position who, you'd say they're a nailed-on starter, and hopefully Spence overtakes them.
Okay. Cameron, you agree?
I've watched a little bit of Spence. I've got a Notts Forest fan here who's a bit annoyed Tottenham are taking him. A bit like James, I would like a season pro ahead of him just for the sake of his development as well. I think it's the Perisic situation, but down that flank there. Why is this taking so long? Like with Can't Smile Without You at 200 likes. I like that. I've got concern down the right. Because I don't know where Doherty's at with his injury. Was it an ACL? I do think that, we need a season pro just so he can serve a year at C2 apprenticeship. He's unproven, so I don't know what Conte's thoughts are like with Spence. It's just an interesting one because Perisic is putting transfer spot fires all over Europe and rumours and everything here, and this one's kind of strung out for a while, so I assume we're going to get him, and it's likely, but I would like a more seasoned pro there in that position, particularly because Conte wants his wing backs to be gladiators for him. So, serve an apprenticeship first before you're in the first team, essentially. That's my view.
I mean, the thing is with Spence, and I know there's a lot of people bigging up Spence. I think there's a bit of a danger he becomes overhyped, to be honest. Yeah. But Conte's system is so dependent on wing backs. They provide all the attacking thrust in our way of playing currently. Now, if we sign an Eriksen, we can mix up in midfield, do different things. But currently, our wing backs are that. He's just signed Perisic. On paper, the best left wing back in Serie A. Was it? Yes, Serie A last season, right? So we're signing a player from the Championship. And I'm sure Spence is a talented boy. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He's definitely got potential. And looking at him, there's a lot of clubs looking at him and find him a bit tasty. And I've watched him play probably 4 times last season, and I do believe that he's very talented. But when you look at what Conte is doing, Bissouma, Perisic, going after Bastoni, they're all significant upgrades. I'm not sure Spence is that much of an upgrade on a fit Doherty. Irish Hotspur, tell me I'm wrong.
Do you know what? Look, I'm a bit torn on Doherty. First of all, I think with Matt Doherty, look, he had a spell of 6-7 good games, if we're being realistic, and then he got injured. But that's the best Matt Doherty we've seen. Now, the reason why that happened is because, unlike Bergwijn, he wasn't getting his opportunity. He wasn't really a part of the plans. He went away, worked on his game, got an opportunity, and he's took it, and he's gone on to be Conte's main man. And I think Conte could potentially be looking at it because, look, no one's going to come in for Doherty this summer. Not with the injury he missed the rest of the season with. I think they'd probably see it maybe as a bit of a gamble, maybe not 100% sure on his fitness. So I do think Doherty will be around here after this summer. And I think maybe Conte is banking on getting him to that levels that we've seen from that 6-7 games of Doherty, who could also play left wing back. But let's not forget, Perisic can play with both feet. He can also play over that right-hand side. With Spence coming in, I think the reason why it is taking so long is he was on under a 21 international, and now he's on holiday, same as Richarlison. So you probably won't see anything concrete more on that until they're back from their holidays. But with Spence, look, he excites me. And look, I'm probably one of them people that is probably in danger of overhyping this guy. But for me, look, we look at it. Look, it's not a Conte signing. But every club has one eye on the future. Since we've sold Kyle Walker, look how many times we've tried to buy in that right back position to be able to try and get it right. We must have spent nearly upwards of up to about 70, 80 million just trying to fix that one problem alone. Instead of using that money straight away and getting a player that should have that and get the best player for that 50, 60 million that we sold Walker for. But we haven't done that. We tried to buy cheaply, and we seem to be buying 3-4 times since then. That is not a sustainable business model. You can't keep misspending that money. You can't keep having them amount of misses. And at some stage, you have to try and pre-plan and for the future. You look at the staff we're bringing in. Simon Davies had a methodology. That other guy, Andy Scolding, to look at what he done with Rangers. A lot of young English players kind of went over there, formed the nucleus of that Rangers squad, gave them a threat. He knows the English market for the young players. And that's why, in my opinion, we're bringing in Jed Spence. Look, I've done a lot of digging on this guy. He played in the same team as, I think, Wan-Bissaka in Croydon, and he also, Emil Smith can't roll a boat from Arsenal, in the same team. Now, he was the last one picked out of that team to go into a proper footballing academy. He's also been the last one throughout all these years getting that contract that extends him, keeps him in that academy. He's always had to go away and work on his game, improve. He's had to work harder than anybody else to get his route into professional football. He got his opportunity at Nottingham Forest, and he took it. He ran on, had a good season. He's gone from an absolute nobody to getting Nottingham Forest to the Premier League, being a massive part of that, by the way, by adding pace, strength, and power down and willing runner down that right-hand side. He's also gone on to go into Championship Team of the Year, which is a very hard one to get into, in my opinion. That championship is very difficult. And he's also got himself into the England under-21 setup. And England have produced a lot of good right wing backs, over the last couple of years, over the last 5-6 years. They just keep producing them. For me, I'm excited about this guy for the future. And I think there is a possibility that you could see him potentially make his way into the team halfway during the season if Conte can get him in pre-season and mold them. Instead of trying to buy players to try and fill what we want, buy a young guy and mold them to what you want. You'll save so much money. We've done it with Kyle Walker, Danny Rose, got them in nice and young, one from Sheffield United, one from Leeds, 17, 18, loaned them out. By the way, Kyle Walker was 22 on loan at Aston Villa. Emerson walked into a shit show at Tottenham at 22 years of age. It shows the difference. We developed them, and look what they went on to do for Tottenham Hotspur. You know, they went on and helped us challenge on multiple fronts, although we didn't win anything. So for me, I think Spence he's an exciting signing. He's not what Conte wants, but I can see what we're trying to do there. Every big team, Madrid famous for doing it, Barcelona, bringing in young guys from Brazil, you know, trying to get them in so that they're not having to spend this 60, 70, 100 million to
Brian Hill.
The proactive. Look, I really like Gil Messi. He's another one I think, you know, I wouldn't sell him yet. I'd still loan him out. But with Spence, you can also play him in that under-23s team to develop them. You don't have to give him game time in the senior team to develop them. You can play him in that under-23s and still give him game time, but also work on him as well.
I think you got to strike a balance. Sorry, I'll come to you in 1 sec, Cameron. You got to strike a balance. You got to have players for now, players for the future, right? And that's what we've done. You know, Pape Sarr, Brian Hill, they were two of the hottest talents in Europe last summer. Obviously, we signed them. It didn't work out with Hill. He's got on loan. I still think he'll be a very good player, and I don't think we'll lose any money on him if we do sell him. Sarr probably will go out on loan again this season, maybe a step up, maybe to the Championship. But you've got to have almost two transfer budgets. You've got to have a transfer budget for the here and now. You've got to have a transfer budget for players for the future, because you're quite right. And I see I see a lot of people sort of saying, Andy Robertson, Hull, as you've said, Carl Walker came from Sheffield. There's nothing wrong with signing young players, but they might not necessarily make the first team straight away. Yeah. And I think the reality is, Conte wants to win the league now, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the methodology is not quite right in my head for us to be signing people who are fit for the team now and then not have a solution at right back for that. Sorry, Cameron.
Yeah, I think with Conte being, let's say, another season or two at most, let's be honest, he's not a long-staying coach or manager anywhere. I think I was asking the Irish Hotspur, do you think, that's why I was suggesting he serves an apprenticeship under a season pro. I remember I was living in Sheffield at the time when, what's his name, Kyle Walker was there. And, he definitely had the speed, he had the potential, but I think we all acknowledge that Conte basically wants for the now. He wants to win now. I think it's a good futures prospect. I think he's great, but I would love him to learn in position, like the equivalent under a Perisic or under a player who's got those scars, that's got the mentality that he can actually emulate. So when that player leaves, maybe in a year or two time, he's learned so much IP that he could actually be a dead set. He could be the nuts for us in the future. But I would like on that right someone being purchased, because I think the season's so dense and so long that down that right, I'd be looking for another right wing back. That's the area that's concerning me as well, probably just as the forward as well.
Yeah. Nicely said. Phil Ambrose says it well here. Let's be honest, if he had not scored against Arsenal in January, and we were then linked to him having had 4 assists and 2 goals in the Championship after 40-plus games, most fans would be going mad, I think you mean. Look, at the end of the day, what do we know as fans? Do you know what? Scouting teams, recruitment teams that watch these players all the time.
Do you know what I will say? Look, we need squad depth. We can't look. We shouldn't always be looking at it. Is he? Look, my approach to the market would be every single time get in better than what you have in that position. But you also do, like I said, you also have to have one look on the future. But there's many different teams that actually make up a very good team. You need people like Kane, Son, the stars of the team. You need someone like Kulusevski who's come in young, hungry, wants to make an impact. It's benefited him. Bentancur, who was maybe not starting at Juventus come towards the end of his career, but was hungry for game time, wanted that game time. Højbjerg, who's a natural-born leader. Maybe not as good as some of the flair players we have, but leads by example. But you also need them young players that are chasing down these boys, that will keep them at a level and at a standard, that they're hanging on for their jerseys at dear life, that make them give their best every single day, that they're not sitting there resting on their laurels, getting too complacent. There's many different components that form a good, solid team. And having some young players that are hungry, that want that jersey, is a part of it.
Where do we go now then? What's our priorities for signing if we put Spence to one side and assume we get him? Where do we go next? Irish Hotspur, your view?
Yeah, look, I really would like Richarlison, so hopefully we can get him in. Hopefully he's in the queue. But for me, I think 2 centre backs would be a must this season. I don't know if you want me to go into it. I went into it on Matty Hayes' channel, caller. I don't know whether you want to listen to it again. I'm not sure.
You go for it, because these guys haven't heard you. So,
yeah. So look, right for me, I think Eric Dyer, Ben Davies has had very good seasons in terms of the standards they've set themselves from previous years, which was not very high, if we're being very honest with ourselves. Eric Dyer still has a lot of flaws. As good as a season he has, he does not compete early anywhere near enough from set pieces, from defensive set pieces in terms of corners or free kicks coming into the box. We've conceded a hell of a lot of goals since Jose Mourinho was at this club, from set pieces all the way through. Even under Conte, go back and look at some of Conte's games. We have struggled massively from them. So he doesn't command the box enough from them situations. He also turns his back on shots, which I absolutely despise. If I can watch guys on AstroTurf, 5-a-side, putting their body on the line, blocking a shot.
It's me on a Tuesday night.
Yeah, look, you do it, I do it, Connor. Why can't I expect that from a paid professional? That's the least I expect from him, is to do them sort of things. He done it against Brighton, gave away that goal. Could have ended up costing us Champions League if we didn't beat Arsenal and go on the little and win the games after that and rattle the cage so much. And he's done that time and time again. Also, he's been a massive culprit of moving the ball too slow against low ball teams. Go back to that Brighton game, the Brentford game. He's taken 7-8 touches. That's a dream for the opposition. They may as well be sitting in a rocking chair with a pipe in their mouth. That's what they're looking for. You know, he's got to move that ball a lot quicker. He also does a lot of things at walking pace, and he gets caught an awful lot. It ends up being an under-hit pass to Davies or Romero, which I've seen at times. Ends up having to balloon it long, getting his pocket picked and the ball taken off him. As much of a good season he's had, he has his flaws, and he needs competition to either elevate him to the next level or come in and do better than him. Ben Davies, brilliant season. But I've compared Ben Davies and Bastoni's defensive stats and passing stats. Defensive stats, they're give and take. Bastoni's leading in some, Davies are leading in some, but they're more or less even. But Bastoni is so much better on the ball in terms of his passing range, in terms of being able to get dribble with the ball, cross the ball. We've seen the benefit of having someone like Romero over the right-hand side, who is not only a warrior in defense, but I was at West Ham. 2 players were chasing him down in the corner. He bet the 2 of them and played 1-2s and passed it out of there. I've seen Sanchez, Dyer, balloon them balls panicking. You need someone that is a lot better on the ball, which then means we can dominate games on the ball in possession. And as we know what the way modern football is, you have to have defenders that are competent on the ball that can deal with every situation. Someone like Bastoni can do that. His passing stats outdo Ben Davies every single day of the week. He will improve the quality. Plus, if you could get him in, he's already played with Perisic, doing the exact same thing. Left-sided centre-back, Perisic on the wing. So there's no adaptation period between the 2 of them. They know each other's games. But he can also, in terms of getting forward, you see how high Romero can get at times, seeing how high Ben Davies can get at times. Romero's so much better and competent on the ball. He can add to the play. He can hold possession. Davies, not so much. And that's why I think it's important to get a left-sided centre-back and a centre-back in here, because if I look at the team, defence has been my major issue all season long once we got the midfield sorted out. And now it's time to improve that. So I would like 2 players in here.
I don't disagree. I think like defense is clearly the next area we have to go and fix. Creative midfielder, probably just as important, but there's more work. I'm not as passionate as you are on Davies and Dyer not being up to scratch. I think Terry made a good call in the comments that we're not Man City. We're not going to have 2 world-class players in each position, but we do need 2 players who are more than capable in each position. Dyer and Davies are more than capable. Do I want to improve on them both? Yes. Do I think we'll improve on them both? No. I think we should.
Are they world-class though, JP? Like we say, we can't have 2 world-class players in each position, but Davies and Dyer are not world-class.
No,
but they put in a shift.
They'll put in a shift, but I think we need to focus our efforts probably on the left centre-back because we've got no one who can replace Davies.
Yeah.
Like, that's the position I'd be prioritising. If you're then looking at Dyer in the middle between Bastoni's probably not going to happen. But if we say the next best we've been linked to is a Pau Torres or a Bremer, both of those give you Pau Torres more on the passing side. Bremer's going to give you the progressive carries like a Romero. Both of those, I think, can cover for a lot of Dyer's deficiencies, and he can just focus on kind of marshalling that back line. If you're then worried about aerial threats, I actually think Sanchez, the one thing he does really, really well is dominate aerially. He's had his moments and whatnot, but when Conte's used him this year, he's often brought him on when teams are lobbing balls into the box against us. He's going, you'll do. Slap that ball out of there. You can put Sanchez in the middle between a Romero and a Bremer or a Torres. You don't need Sanchez to do the passing. You just need him to sweep up. I think that back line is good enough for where we need to go and to cause some problems. You then swap in a Dyer, you swap in a Davies. I don't think you lose too much. Like, it's more than capable of doing a job with that. I thought the back line was really solid in the last 10 games of the season. So I'm happy with that, but we definitely need one more. Ideally 2, but definitely one more in that position. I think if you're looking at Sanchez as the Dyer kind of alternate, you probably need to bring in someone on the right. So I'd like Torres and Bremer because I think Bremer is more confident on the right. And then it's the creative midfielder. The striker, yeah, I mean, we need a striker as well. So that for me is 4 positions we have to do for this window to be seen as positive. The other thing that's really funny is we're all raving about this window now, but if we only get 1 defender and a striker in, we're probably going to get to the end of the window and go, it's a bit disappointing.
It's because it started at such a pace. Sorry, Cameron.
It's such a pace. Like I'm looking at it now and go, what keeps me happy? 4 signings is a minimum. It's crazy.
Yeah,
I think there's still weaknesses there. So, like Derek Smith said, the left side of the centre back and centre back. Definitely, I agree. I think we're all in agreement there. I think the attacking midfielder or the 10, yes. I think Eriksen, someone there. We definitely these. I think these, as James says, JP, sorry, says, are just the baseline signings. We need to be a very competent, good team. And we need a forward. That the whole Richarlison situation, I think at the start of the week, I was a no, just based on his shithousery and what HG said. If you're known for your shithousery, you're not that good. But I'm slowly coming across to it because I've been arguing with a Chelsea mate back in the UK, and I can see how it can be a Conte signing, but there's an opportunity cost there. What else can you buy for what is being quoted there? That's a lot of money for somewhat of a journeyman. I get that he's functionally good for us, but what else could you buy that might be better than what Richarlison is? That's a question.
We're flush with cash. It doesn't matter. 150 million. Woo!
there's a gift in that. Look, I think you're right. I think you've all got points that right. I think we do need to solidify that back 4 at 5. 3 centre backs is crucial. Yeah. Two great wing backs is crucial. We need to be in the market for it. So players that might make the mark. There's Pau Torres in the mix apparently. We've been chasing Pau Torres for 2 seasons. So who knows? And then obviously there's Bremer, who you mentioned. Syria, I mean, he is mustard. Apparently we're preparing a £22 million bid for him. But really, 22 million quid for the Syria Defender of the Year? Really?
Snap that off. Like, everything about him looks like Romero. My only concern is he prefers to play on the right-hand side. And, we've already got Romero there, but he gives us a threat in the box. He scored like 5 or 6 goals last season. He progresses the ball. I was at the point where I was so excited about Bastoni, and then that fell down. And then I had a look at Bremer, and I was like, holy crap, this guy is mustard.
He is good.
I can get him in for 22 million. I'll give Fabio his title.
It's going to be more than 22 million.
It'd have to be.
Well, Bremer, watching the footage of him, he's physically developed as well. I think he could handle the EPL already. In the boxing, obviously, JP mentioned that, yes, obviously scores and so forth, and he's great on the ball, but he looks physically more ready than what Bastoni does. Bastoni looks slightly slow. That might be deceiving. He may not be, but Bastoni looks more like a giraffe than he does play so far. But, yeah, I'm Bremer. I'm all for. But, yeah, he might be on the other side there, the right.
Bremer seems to be a bit of an animal to me. He strives. The way he plays, he's just into everything. He's a bit like another Romero. Like you say, the issue with him is, though, he's right-sided. So he's either going to take Dyer's job in the middle, which, by the way, I'm cool with, really. I don't think Dyer's done anything wrong, but I think it'd be an upgrade. And left centre-back, you still need a left centre-back. So I would imagine we're going to try and sign a left centre-back as the priority. That would be my guess. But yeah,
I think it'd be one of those ones. If you can do Bremer, you will do Bremer, but it doesn't replace the left centre back you're buying.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
But what's the issue here is that wasn't Inter wanting to sell Bastoni in a sense, but then purchase Bremer as well.
They just want to sell people. They just want to sell people because they need the money to, make several acquisitions that they're trying. And I think that FFP rules are not being very favourable to them.
FFP's all over them at the moment.
Yeah, so they're not skint, but as some people say. But I think they need to sell before they buy. They need a couple of valuable transfers. So I think they would be quite happy to sell Bastoni, but Bastoni doesn't particularly want to go. That's the truth of it. an interesting one. Apparently, we're preparing a 80 to 90 million euro transfer bid for Lautaro Martinez. JP, tell me. I want all your views on this because, I mean, Martinez is an upgrade on Richarlison. Let's just be clear about that in my head. JP, he would be rotation for Kane and Son, surely. I mean, the guy's world class.
Can he play out wide? I've only ever seen him play through the middle or in the two. So I don't like his rotation for Kane. And if you bring him in, then we're going to go to a 3-5-2, which all four still think that will suit our squad much better. But then where do you play Son? And these are all great questions to have. But in terms of prioritizing what we need, yes, he's 100% a better player than Richarlison. But Richarlison can play in more positions. And Martinez is pretty much exclusively replacement for Kane, or you change system and how do you get the best out of our top goal scorer?
3-5-2 is Conte's preferred system.
Yeah,
when I did,
and you need
when we had Fabrizio Romano on the channel back in January, he was convinced that at some point Conte would switch to 3-5-2 because he didn't have the players to do it last season. We did it once, I think, against Liverpool away and played really well actually. But sorry, JP.
I'm hoping we go to a 3-5-2. I think it gives you so much more width, as weird as that sounds, despite you kind of like playing three across the front, you think you get more width because you've got more players to spread out. But if you think about how a two would function, Kane and Son, as the example, would stand further apart from each other, meaning those through balls to each other, you've got a bigger pivot. If Kane's in the middle, that middle channel is blocked off, and you see Kane having to drop deep in order to get forward. And then Son can kind of run in, or Kulusevski can run in behind. But if you've got the two of them are always an option to move through the middle. I actually think it gives you much more width, but that's kind of by a separate point. But yeah, it's great because it's what all the top clubs do, right? They have world-class options in every position, right? But does Martinez then want to come to Spurs knowing that you've got Harry Kane who ain't going anywhere? And Heung-min Son, who's the Premier League top goal scorer.
Yeah, but JP, doesn't Harry Kane then rotate maybe as a pseudo 10? We can rotate the attack there.
In a 3-5-2, you're asking Harry to do much more kind of defensive work that's not his game. He can come back and play that role, but not as a mobile midfielder.
Yeah.
Irish. What are you saying? Martinez?
Plug your ears, caller. You're not going to like this. Look, for me, I actually think he's one of them players that's hyped up by the likes of FIFA and Football Manager. I really don't think he is as good as everybody says he is. For me, I would just much rather Richarlison. I really would, in my opinion. I think if we really wanted him, we're 15 million off triggering his release clause, which is 105 million. Why not actually just go and trigger the release clause if you really want this guy? I actually think, to be honest with you, we're putting it out there to try and get a bit more money off the Richarlison deal. But there's a lot at play here on this one. I believe they're trying to maneuver a way of getting Romelu Lukaku back to Inter Milan. And they're also trying to, I believe Dybala is supposed to be close to going to Inter Milan, which then does free up someone like Lautaro Martinez to be the one that they sell so that they can get the money in so that they can do their business. If they don't want to sell Bastoni to us, well then maybe they might just sell Lautaro Martinez. But for me, that depends on them getting Lukaku and Dybala in before they even consider selling them to us. Look, they lost out on the Serie A, I think it was by a point last season, to their rivals AC Milan. As it stands right now, I think it's Edin Dzeko and Martinez. They are not going to let this guy go until they can get in Dybala and Lukaku coming in. They're just not going to leave themselves exposed like that.
You wouldn't be happy with it then?
Look, don't get me wrong. I mean, look, I'll be honest. He's a decent player. Look, he's a decent player. I can see what he can offer. I wouldn't turn my nose up it. I'd probably celebrate it just as much as you, to be honest with you. But I would just prefer Richarlison, in my opinion.
I think if you look at it and you have to take money out of it, like all things, right? If we look at it and we go, Martinez is on our bench, as fans, we're going, you ripper, awesome. Yeah. But if you go, Martinez is on our bench for 100 million, and potentially that means when you're talking 100 million, that is probably taking away somewhere else we were going to sign. I think that we can fill that void without having to spend that much money. But if we get him, he improves our team. I don't know if he gets into our first 11 in a 3 or a 2. But hey, he improves the team.
Definitely gives you options. And all these things are great because they give you options because, you've got the bench in the Champions League to consider,
Harry Kane getting injured.
I mean, what does genuinely, if you're Conte, you imagine you're a really temperamental Italian, really angry, but wearing really nice Gucci shoes, and you're having one of these meetings with Daniel Levy and Paratici, and you go in there and you say, look, mate, let's be real about this. If Kane gets injured, your season is over. Yeah. We need another option. And that's where I think this is coming from. We've got to sign a forward. Conte will have absolutely told them some real home truths about he's got to have another striker and he's got to be a world-class striker. And that's where I see this Martinez stuff coming from. The Richarlison stuff, I think I saw the comment about the stats. I think the stats are a little bit misleading because Richarlison's played for Everton, who, let's be honest, have been struggling to do anything at all last 2 seasons.
In a Rafa Benitez team.
Yeah. And really struggling to do anything. So I'm not surprised that his stats are a bit shit, to be honest. I get
that Kane and Son want to play every game, especially Kane, but his workload's going to be beyond impossible this season. Let's be honest. He's a crown jewel of the England team and Tottenham as well. But he's got to learn to let go of some games this season. And obviously, like last season, we didn't have the depth. And then in Europe, we're losing to your Moras and your other players. So I think I'm like you, Call. We need another forward. Whoever that is, we need one, maybe two, because our depth's going to be definitely going to the depths of the squad this year. There's just way too many games, and the condensing of the fixtures is insane. Kane can't play every game. So we do have to have those weapons in our toolbox off the bench. That without Kane and Son there, they're going to get burnt out. And then you look at the World Cup calendar, and then
the fixture list is going to be absolutely brutal this season. There's going to be injuries in there.
Yeah, the fixtures start only about a handful of days after the World Cup. Now, I get whether England.
Sorry, Cameron, go on.
Yeah, I get that the actual World Cup finishes, 5 or 6 days before the actual season starts on Boxing Day, I think. But whether England make the World Cup final or not, it's still not a lot of time just to actually recuperate and actually then go back into the season. It's a brutal season, this one. So another forward is
brutal, but. I mean, we started last season was a bit condensed, wasn't it, because of COVID and all the rest of it. And then you go into this internationals. So they've just played 4 internationals. The players have had no break. I think, what is it now? 2 weeks till they go back into preseason training. It's crazy. And then obviously through the Winter World Cup, we are going to get injuries. The body. It doesn't matter what they're paid and should be professionals. Always that's irrelevant, right? The amount of strain that is going into the footballers in the Premier League at the moment, especially ones that are in Champions League, Europa Conference. The amount of football these guys are playing, you're going to pick up a lot of injuries. We absolutely need to have rotation options because, in all honesty, there's a high probability we'll get some key players injured this season.
Yeah, 100%. And it's a 5 subs, I think, rule this year, and not 3 anymore, is it?
Yeah, 5, yeah.
So there's definitely going to be rotation having to occur, 100%.
Yeah. It's scandalous. I mean, we all love watching football. We all want to see football. Is the supporters of the problem, FIFA the problem? I don't know. The reality is there will be some players getting injured. So let's hope we've got the depth. It looks like we will. Let's talk about some players going out. So, Irish Hotspur, who are you most excited to see leave the club? Who do you think will go that you're really happy about? Let's start
Harry
with
Winks.
Harry Winks.
Harry Winks. Look, the day Tottenham let him go, because we don't need him for the homegrown rule anymore, all these skippers come in and replaced all of that. So it's freed up Harry Winks to be able to be shipped on. But once we get rid of him, it really is, for me, a sign of change that we're not actually just accepting mediocrity and having someone here just because he fills a couple of tick boxes on registrations. He is not good enough to be here. He's never really developed. We've seen how drastic the drop off in our performances is when this guy plays. When he's come off the bench, even when we were doing well, we were conceding a goal because he's on the pitch. He's not good enough. And some of the biggest defeats this season has been with him in the midfield. Some of the defeats this guy has actually been involved in over the course of his career, and there's a lot of shambolic ones that should never happen at a club like Tottenham Hotspur. He's been the anchor in midfield. He's been in the midfield. So for me, I can't wait to see the back end of this guy. I think a lot of it probably is to do with, if I'm being actually honest, is that so many Tottenham fans love him just because he's a Tottenham boy. That's irrelevant to me. You earn my love and my respect by your performances on the pitch. I don't care where you come from, who you are. You earn it by what you do on the pitch. So I actually can't wait to see this guy go. And believe me, if I was on my own channel, I'll be a lot more harsher.
I can't wait to see him go. So you say what you like as far as I'm concerned about Harry Winks. JP?
I mean, I've talked about Harry Winks to death and how I don't think he's a bad player in a particular role, much like Dele. Like if he's in a 3 and he's got a lights-out defensive midfielder who can carry that burden from him, is great. And then you've got a more attacking player, fantastic. Harry Winks' role is just to keep the ball moving. But that's his role, and we don't need that in our squad. We've got better players at doing it. So I'm glad to see him go. Like, let's talk, like, the real one that we all want to see go is Ndombele, but it's also the hardest one to make happen.
Who's going to buy him, JP, or loan him? You know, I mean, he the thing is, he went to, was it Lyon on loan? And he stacked the place out. Like, he wasn't even any good there. Like,
I have a little part of me wonders. I think it's too far gone, but if we think back to when Conte was at Inter, he had Perisic, sent him out on loan to where do you go, to Bayern, because he said he's not doing what I want. You can get out of here. There's a 1% piece of me that thinks, I wonder if Ndombele has gone back to Lyon. He's realized I'm not even up to scratch here. Holy crap. I'm not going to get the offers from the Barcelonas, the Real Madrids, the Juventuses that I thought that I was going to get. Maybe Tottenham is the highest I can ever play, and he comes back with a changed mentality and ready to work. But I also just don't think that's him. It might be just too far gone. And where does he go? He has to drop down a rung in the French league. Like, that's the reality for him right now. We're going to cop 70% of his wages. We're probably going to continue paying. If you could tear up the contract and just let him walk out the door, you would.
Yeah. It's got to be. I mean, it's midday like robbery. He's just had our pants down. Cameron, sorry, go on, mate.
I think Lo Celso's not been talked about, but I'm looking forward to him actually leaving. I think there's a guy that has talent but hasn't applied himself in the EPL, but gone to more familiar pastures where he's felt more comfortable there. There's a part of me doesn't like that, so I'm looking forward to him leaving. I think he's got the talent, but obviously can only apply it to a certain league or standard. So definitely, I'm hearing rumours, though, that Juve is looking at Lucas, which I thought he was going to be staying, but potentially could we see Lucas go?
Well, I mean, if Lucas goes, I won't be disappointed, but I can't see him. I can't see it happening. I genuinely can't. I think he's a club legend, obviously, for what he did in that one game, but he's disappointed the rest of his. There you go. There it is behind JP. But he's disappointed the rest of his career with Spurs. Unfortunately, with Lucas, I just don't think his brain is up to much. He makes terrible decisions.
But sadly, I think Bergwijn's the one that's going to go, and I wouldn't mind him staying.
Yeah, I'm sad about Bergwijn going though, because Bergwijn, he's got the ability. You know, he's just not had a real good chance at Spurs. I feel a bit sorry for him.
Do you know why though? I think it was Ali Gold that did report. You know, he has a bad attitude in and around the training ground. And unfortunately, if you're going to have that, you will not get your game time underneath Antonio Conte. And the only reason why he ended up getting minutes last season is because just to take Son or Kane off, you know, take one of them off and give them a bit of rest. And look, that's down to him at the end of the day. We can't keep having these players that come to Tottenham, like you said a minute ago, which I thought was hilarious, pulling our pants down. You know what I mean? We can't keep having that. And he's also come out in the press and said he wants to go. He wants to go and search for first-team football. It's just a shame that he doesn't realise if he applied himself in the right way and waited for his opportunity, that first-team football would have come. And he's going on like he's never got an opportunity. He played nearly 30 games or 20-odd games in a run under Jose Mourinho on the right-hand side. The fact that Gareth Bale came from absolutely nowhere, gained fitness, took that spot. The fact that Lucas came in at the start of the season also took that spot. Bergwijn has had plenty of opportunities. Yes, he prefers to play on the left. Okay, if you want to play on the left and be better than Son, you're not. So your opportunity was on the right-hand side. But then since then, we've also gone and got Kulusevski, who's come in on the right-hand side, added the end product. It's Bergwijn's fault that he finds himself in the position he finds him in. Nobody else. We sign a player. We give them the best training facilities in the world, the best Tottenham Hotspur, the hotel there. They can stay there if they're stressed or anything else, want to get away from family life. They can stay there. And we pay them brilliant wages. After that, everything else after that is 90% of it is on the player and how he conducts himself. We've done everything we can. We've gave him good managers, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte. What more does the guy want?
I think
harsh.
I think
his attitude is bad. That's what Ali Gold reported. That's on him. I can't change his attitude. Conte can't change his attitude. You're responsible for how you carry yourself. I'll be honest. I don't see how that's harsh. That's on him.
I think, well, it's only hearsay that his attitude's poor, but I would believe there might be something in that because, you know, when Conte's bringing on Lucas ahead of you, Bergwijn's a better player and was in better form. So there's definitely something in it. In terms of chances, I think he was a little bit unlucky. I mean, he was playing well and in the team under Mourinho until that game at Liverpool was pivotal for him. He scores that 1-on-1, and I think he goes on and he may well have established himself in the team. As it was, he missed it, got berated by Jose, and you know, whatever we think of Steven Bergwijn, I don't think he deserves to be dropped on the basis of missing one chance. And I think he did shatter his confidence. I think under Conte, I think it's potentially he just can't break into that front three, and he needs to be patient for his chance because actually he did score. He did save us at Leicester. That was awesome. Internationally, he's been banging goals in for Holland. So I think he might be being a touch harsh on the guy, but equally, I don't blame him for wanting first team football and going, do you know what? I'm gonna leave and find first team football. I just think we've got to make the most out of the situation, get some cash for him.
But we're sitting here, you know, pretending like he hasn't had an opportunity. You go back and look at the stats and the Premier League games he played when he first came in, even the season after that. He's had opportunities to play.
Yeah, not for Conte.
He hasn't took them. That's on him. The fact that Lucas Moura has come in, the fact that we've had to go and buy Kulusevski to come in and play there. If there was a spot there open, he didn't take it. We also blown Gareth Bale towards the end of the season. He came in ahead of him.
Yeah.
That's on him.
But do you think there's more opportunity this season?
Yeah, but this season. But the reason why he didn't get as many of them this season is because he didn't take them previously, and his attitude is poor. Yeah. The fact that we have to keep spending money in them positions on Kulusevski, the fact we had to loan in Bale, the fact that Lucas Moura has been around here, I agree with the caller. His feet move quicker than his head. That's why he makes brain-dead decisions. Yeah. The fact that he still couldn't get in ahead of Lucas, and Lucas was in ahead of him even under Nuno for a stage, and then when Conte came in, Bergwijn was completely out of the team. That's on him. The opportunities have been there for him, and that's why he found himself on the fringes this season, because he didn't take them in the previous seasons. If he would have took them, he wouldn't be on the fringes, and we probably wouldn't be sitting here singing about the ginger from Sweden.
Who is great. Who has been great. Good stuff. Look, we're going to wrap there. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Irish Hotspur, do you want to tell everyone about your channel?
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. Look, Might not be for everybody, but I do like to think I produce good content. So if you do like what I've produced here, hopefully I have been a good addition. I do watch the Cheese Room when I can. So guys, hopefully you have enjoyed what I brought to the show. And if you did, get over and smash that subscribe button. I just want to give Cameron a big up. I believe it's his first show. Absolute brilliant. It's been a pleasure, JP and the caller. Thanks very much for having me, lads. I've really enjoyed it.
No, loved having you on, mate. Loved having you. I've spent my entire evening with you actually tonight, so it's been a pleasure.
And I've done a 3-hour show, a 2.5-hour show on my channel before, Matty's. I've been going all day.
Cameron, an impressive debut. Yeah, thanks for joining us, mate. Hope you enjoyed it.
No, it's been enjoyable. Love to do it again, but definitely, first show and thoroughly enjoyed it. Now I'm off to have a bowl full of spiders for breakfast.
Oh my god! Well, we never got to 200 likes, JP, so you didn't have to eat a Black Widow. It's a shame, but we'll aim for it next time round. Thanks for being here again, and I'm sorry it's so cold in Australia.
You got any heaters? You can send over. Make your misery count. It's been great having this chat. Good to have you on, Cameron, and Irish Hotspur as well. It's been a good chat this morning.
Good. Well, it's scorchio over here in the UK, so I don't feel sorry for you at all, quite frankly, because normally it's the other way around. Until the next time, join us this week. So Seb's show will be out Sunday. Seb's Transfer Talk, and we'll be back Monday as usual with the show. Enjoy your weekend and come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!
Come on, you Spurs!